What's more natural than for folks in the US to drink beer? For that matter, what's more natural than people around the world drinking beer? Well, unless you're in a Muslim country, and then, well, that can kind of get you taken out in a very brutal fashion. But you take a look at all the beer that's drank in this country. There being dangerous toxic chemicals in beer is a bad thing. I mean, we're talking one of the most popular drinks in this country. We have entire sections larger than, say, the soda aisle in a lot of places where they have nothing but beer. So, this finding uh, team from ACS Environmental Science and Technology conducted a study to find out how PFAS or forever chemicals get into beer and how much they contain. Well, they're finding that it's exceeding EPA limits. Now, take into account that we've had liberals in office and they screw it up. But in all honesty, I'm not going to disagree about the forever chemicals. Forever, even minute traces that are definitely hard to detect, I don't want to see. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you a clip. It's from a new North Carolina company. Now, I was stationed in North Carolina, and so the toxicity from the bases. And then I'm going to do something, give you a clip from something called the Natural Resources Defense Council. I want them to explain to you what forever chemicals are. So we'll do this couple long clips here. Well, not that long, but let you get an understanding of what's going on. Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking about the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
What is lurking in your lager? There is a new study from RTI International and found toxic chemicals in beer traced back to contaminated drinking water. WRL's Liz McLaughlin explains what it means for North Carolina brewers and beer lovers.
In a pint like this, you might expect hops, malt, and some bubbles, but maybe not toxic chemicals. But that's what researchers say they found. PFAS, or forever chemicals, in almost every beer they tested, including some made right here in North Carolina.
So I do a lot of IPA.
Light beer.
Definitely more local, yeah.
Whatever your beer of choice, there's a good chance it contains PFAS.
Those signatures did change by state.
RTI International tested dozens of beers from around the country. 95% had detectable levels of the toxic compounds linked to cancer and other health issues.
If the water supply has PFAS in it, it's likely to have it also in the beer.
PFAS are industrial chemicals that don't break down easily, and they're showing up in areas with a history of contamination. That includes parts of North Carolina. Beers brewed near former manufacturing sites and military bases showed some of the highest PFAS diversity. One beer from Mecklenburg County tested at more than 10 times the new federal drinking water limit.
Ideally, over time, we don't allow PFAS to get into our environment and then potentially get into our water sources and beer.
Until that happens, some beer lovers say they're concerned.
I think that's unfair to us. Like, we're consuming those products and we should be aware of what we're putting in our body.
Others say the presence of PFAS won't damper their happy hour.
Most likely I will continue drinking beer.
If you are looking to lower your exposure, researchers suggest asking breweries if they use filtered water or choosing beers with a local water supply that's less contaminated.
All right, thank you to Liz McLaughlin reporting there. Public water systems do have until 2029 to meet the new EPA rules for filtering PFAS from our drinking water. Researchers say cleaning up the water should lead to cleaner beer as well.
My husband was going through his cancer treatments and they had one of those late night commercials, the like really terrible, are you a firefighter? Do you have testicular cancer? Or have you handled foam? And he was yes to all of those things.
And when they came to me and they said, well, your water tested at 38,000 parts per trillion, I said, oh, 38's less than 70. And they had to explain, no, you have all these zeros at the end of yours.
People just don't know about it. Our job, especially for me as a veteran, is to try and get veterans to understand that when they were on every military base in the United States, they were exposed to this.
So PFAS stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. It's a mouthful. So we tend to call them forever chemicals. They're permanent, they live forever, they don't break down, they're not naturally found. These are synthetic chemicals that are completely man-made. They're altering us at a cellular level, they're endocrine disrupting, hormone disrupting.
PFAS is a class of chemicals that were used originally as 3M Scotchgard, and then 3M sold it to DuPont, who created Teflon from it. PFAS is the 9,000 variants of those two chemicals that they have created that get around the ban.
It reminds me kind of, I guess, the movie Jurassic Park. Dinosaurs were fun to look at until they got out of control, and now we have no way to control this dinosaur. Where my husband and I bought our first home was surrounded by a Christmas tree farm. 20 years later, in 2016, Joel developed liver cancer and died within 3 weeks. The next year is when Department of Environmental Quality came to my home and told me that they suspected our groundwater was contaminated. Turned out the Christmas tree farm was a dump site from Wolverine Worldwide, the shoe company.
In our group, we're asking for some really powerful prayers for family, parents, and siblings with some incredibly serious health problems, terminal cancers, recurrent cancers. I'm terrified. I raised my children on this water, and I don't know what that means.
The foam that the firefighter sprayed, including my husband, were sprayed. They were sprayed on our friends' and family's homes, and we didn't know. What I felt was, wow, had we been given this information, we could have stopped that.
In 2020, my doctor found that I also had thyroid cancer. And so my first thought was, after going through those 3 weeks with Joel and watching him die, that I was going to have to go through that as well, but just go through it by myself.
My 19-year-old daughter, Tiana, she died from a very rare cancer-related disease that I believe was caused by PFAS. I mean, they had been dumping these chemicals into these washes, community washes, unlined ditches, and landfills. There was no law against it.
I really worry that so many people are having this, being exposed to this, drinking this, and they have no way of knowing. You can't taste it, you can't smell it, you can't see it.
Our chemical and regulatory system has failed us. Every step we delay, we're allowing more people to be exposed.
It's not just a North Carolina story. It's not just a West Virginia story. This is not even just an American story. There's plenty of scientific information out there to regulate PFAS as a class. And we can all work together and realize that and come to a really healthy solution and save not just our generation, but generations to come. Because if we don't start acting now, it may be too late.
Now, I covered a story not long ago where there were companies that were putting sludge manure loaded down with forever chemicals into the into the ground in Arkansas. And the farmers were trying to stop it, but the federal government was actually defending these companies. And this was under the Biden administration. That's the problem. These companies that are making these forever chemicals are big business. big business. And they have both political parties bought and paid for. Think about that. You know, you hear the Maha movement, and you have Democrats that are against it. Well, I wonder who's funding that. Seriously, the unless they can claim victimhood, the only reason that Democrats do anything is for money. They stay so far in debt because, well, they can't do anything. I mean, you take a look at Kamala Harris's campaign, and Republicans, the mainstream Republicans have been bought and paid for a long time as well. So nobody's saying anything about these chemicals that are going into our environment. We're getting poisoned slowly. And you might be going, well, you're a redneck. Exactly. Near where I lived for a short while, my mother became friends with a couple that lived in backwoods area in between Madisonville and Sweetwater, Tennessee. Turned out that they've been using this area as a medical dump, and the people that we had become friends with had to ship in water. They couldn't use the groundwater anymore because of the chemicals from this. These major companies, these hospitals, and all these other places are constantly looking for a way to save money. And so they're dumping stuff into the backwoods where there's hardly ever anybody around. And that affects us rednecks. So, yes, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I know it exists. I don't think that it's a conspiracy. It's very real. I mean, for Pete's sakes, these things, testicular, kidney, liver, and pancreatic cancer. Okay, everything causes cancer, but whatever. Reproductive problems. Low birth weight. Endocrine disruption. I'll admit, I will have to look that up, but you can look it up as well. Increased cholesterol. You notice that we keep having all these increased cholesterol ads because so many people keep having increased cholesterol. Weakened childhood immunity. That sounds familiar. A lot of this stuff sounds familiar. Weight gain in children and dieting adults. And as for endocrine disruption, it interferes with the body's hormonal system, which is crucial for development, reproduction, and overall health. Caused by chemicals, both natural and man-made, that can mimic, block, or interfere with actions of natural hormones. Sounds like a lot of the stuff that's going on in our current environment, a lot of this could go to those PFAs, those forever chemicals. And this is going in our beer. I mean, it's going everywhere, but I just thought I'd bring this up to you. This has been Paul, Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.